That's it. I'm leaving Hoonigan. I think some of you guys out there have expected it. I've gotten a lot of DMs. I've gotten a lot of comments on videos about it, and I wanted to take the time to address it. A lot of you guys have been following Hoonigan and myself for so long, and I owe it to you to tell you why I'm leaving and what I'm doing next. So I wanted to take the time to make this video, talk a little bit about how I got here, what I did at Hoonigan, why I'm leaving, and what I'm gonna do after. It'll probably be a pretty long video. I mean, if you guys know me, I'm pretty long-winded. I'll break it up down below. You can just skip to the part you wanna see, but if you're in it for the long haul, buckle up. It's story time. I'm gonna talk a bunch. So, a lot of you guys along the way have asked, how did I get the job here? How did I end up at Hoonigan? I told this story on Matt Farah's podcast, and I don't know if everyone saw it, so I'm gonna kind of tell it again. This is how it worked. I grew up in the Volkswagen scene. I lived in Long Island, New York. The town over from me, there's this dude named Eric Ang, also known as Sheet. He was the biggest internet troll before internet trolls really existed. He was a generation older than me. He was about 10 years older than me, and he had a really cool Mark IV. He kind of got me started on like how to flip things, buying and selling car parts to get things that I wanted and stuff. We quickly became buddies. He was connected to Auto Krieg, which was Brian Scotto's car club. They were buddies. One day, Eric Gang hits me up and goes, hey, any of your friends, writers or photographers, my buddy has a car magazine, he's looking to hire someone. And I was like, actually, one of my good friends, Alex Bernstein, just graduated school. He had a degree in journalism and he was also a car photographer. I put him in touch. He ended up getting a job at 0 to 60 magazine. 0 to 60 was Brian's magazine that Alex worked at, Matt Tasillo, Ron Zaris, and a ton of other guys that you might know. With that, I kind of got like adjacent to the circle. So every time they would have like parties in the city and stuff, I'd be out with them, I'd hang out, and I would literally just bug Ron and Matt and be like, yo, get me a job with Chem Block. One day, Brian Scotto texts me in the most Brian Scotto way ever. Yo, it's Scotto, job opening at Hoonigan. I was working some shit job at the time and literally was driving. I had a green 07 Jeep Wrangler. I remember driving. I pulled over to the side of the road and responded immediately and said, hell yeah, I'm in. What do you need from me? And I got nothing. Because that's what Scotto does, he just texts you and then forgets right away. I blew him up a little bit. He called me one day, we spoke for a while. It was really cool. I had no experience in marketing. Nothing at all. I think graduated college with like business management. It was a real bullshit degree. I was kind of doing odd jobs here and there. I was doing like business development for business that never actually took off. So I had no real world experience. Scotto literally said, Matt and Ron speak highly of you. Alex did well at 0 to 60. So let's give it a shot. What do we do next? I fucking, get right to work. Typing up my resume. Send it to Brian. Nothing. So he later admitted that he never even looked at the resume, which is great. He hits me up and he's like, hey, we're doing this thing for Zoomies. It's gonna be in New Jersey. I lived in New York. It was about an hour and a half away. It was actually at E-Town, place I've gone to a ton of times. So he's like, we're doing this thing with Zoomies. Why don't you just come out, just meet the team and help out? I was like, what do you want me to do? He's like, just interact, see how you do with everyone. It'll be like an informal interview. No doubt, let's do it. Like a day before going, he's like, hey, do you have anything you could pick up 35 tires in? So I'm like, no, I have a 2-door Jeep Wrangler and an E36 M3, but let me try to find out. So we like rent the box truck, all the shit, whatever. So I drive out there and I'm like, I gotta take something cool. So I take my Dakar yellow 95 E36 M3 out there and I'm like, hell yeah, sit in traffic, no AC, 2 hours, brutal commute over there, pull up to the hotel, call Brian, nothing. I had Ashley's phone number. I think she texted me about something, call her, nothing. They probably booked me a room. I'm just gonna go check in. So I go to the front desk, check in. They're like, oh yeah, you're already checked in. You have Eugene Hertrich already checked in for you. And I'm like, oh boy. Because I didn't know her at this time. Alex and Tony Harmer, they were good friends with her. That's one person I forgot to add at the 0 to 60s, Tony Harmer. But Tony Harmer and Alex were good friends with her. They hung out all the time. I like knew him by proxy, but I never met him. He definitely had no idea who I was. So I'm like, fuck, this is weird. Walk upstairs, key in, go to my room. Hert's just sitting there in his boxers, eating pizza. Like, it's what you think you would roll into Hurt in a hotel room being like. I'm not making it up. And he just looks at me and he's like, what the fuck is this guy doing in my room? And I'm like, hey man, I'm Vin. I know Alex and Tony. I'm here for like a job interview thing at Hoonigan. And he quickly like lightened up because at first he thought Brian just had one of these contest winners staying with him and he was really pissed, but he quickly warmed up. Like we chopped it up. We went out with Steve Angerman, Jeff Stoneback, like all those East Coast guys and hung out with them. Like Hurt welcomed me in with open arms. So it was really cool. But I love telling that story because it's just absolutely ridiculous. We do that, we go through the event, it was cool. Turk, Forsberg, Stoneback, like all those guys were out there. It was really rad to get to hang out with them like right off the bat. I wasn't super big into Formula Drift, so I didn't fanboy them, which was cool. Seems to go well, even though I was just like helping out. I didn't really do anything. A couple weeks go by, I hit up Scott, I'm like, yo, what's next? Nothing. Couple weeks go by, keep pestering him. I'm like right in between get my own place and move out and do stuff. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Finally he hits me up. He's like, yo, can you start August 15th? It's like August 7th at the time. And I was like, no, I have to move cross country. I cannot do that. And he's like, when can you start? I was like, how's the following Monday? Like the 17th. Because he wanted me to start, I think it was weird. It was like a Thursday or something, which makes no sense, but par for the course. And then I ended up starting that Monday, the 17th, which was my birthday, and I was actually really stoked. So I packed up all my stuff. I had a motorcycle that I sold. I threw the rest of my crap into my Jeep Wrangler and my E36 M3, like just packed them out and shipped them out here. And then me and my ex-girlfriend at the time drove across country in her Altima. At the time, that was the furthest I've ever been away from home in New York. I went to LA once before to visit Alex, and that was it. And then I just moved out here. So it was kind of crazy. So that's how I got the job. My time at Hoonigan. My birthday, I think I turned 25 or 26, going to Hoonigan, living on Alex Bernstein's couch in Culver City, driving Brian's F350 Mondo Super Duty OBS thing, parking it in Culver City. Super stressful, but thanks for letting me borrow a cold truck with Brian. He could just like the most Hoonigan stuff. Like this all seemed, I guess, weird at the time, but like the more I was around, the more this all feels natural. Is I get there in the morning, I pull up, Brian's not there. I meet Steve DeMars, a couple other homies. I met Chase the first night I pulled up, and my boss, Emily Blood, who I think now works at DC, she just got there too. It's her first day. We pull up, no one knows we're starting. We don't have computers. There's nothing there for us to do. So we just kind of like hung out, and this was like all day. So it was like Hurt, Christine, DeMars, Kakawa, John Chase, and Item B worked there at the time. So it was like really small crew, and this dude Eddie, and it was cool. I mean, we just got into 621. Into the donut garage, and it was pretty much a big open space, like garage doors open. There were no walls like you guys saw probably in Daily Transmission and stuff. It was just a big open warehouse. Twerk Stallion just parked like 3 feet from the desk, and like Brian's Nova. So it was like weird, but it was a super cool vibe. And coming from a dude who like worked in an office job and then did some BS, like this was already sick. Like the fact that I could sit at my desk and like look at a Turbo LS RX-7 was like fucking awesome. I started as a entry-level marketing coordinator position, which is basically like a marketing assistant. So I did everything from like e-com sales, helping organize photo shoots, and this is like pre-video on Instagram. So we were like doing photo shoots and like doing e-com marketing and, you know, setting up sales, figuring out like cool shoots to do and little marketing campaigns, handling some of the athlete ambassadors, which basically at the time just meant like making sure we were sending them promo gear. They were doing posts for us. We were resharing their content, like doing some really simple stuff like that. Then I started doing some social media. Hurt and Item B and Brian and I all like worked in a group chat where basically every time I wanted to post something, I would have to like send the photo and the copy, and they would rip it apart until I learned the voice and tone of the brand, which honestly worked great. Like it was just super grassroots. Like Saturday I'd be texting them and someone would respond and make an edit, and after a couple months, like I knew exactly how to talk Hoonigan, and I ran that social account from a little over 500,000 followers to 1.3 million. Hoonigan was popping. It was really exciting to do that, and it was really cool to get to like have that be my job, even though it meant like on the weekend I'd be out trying to have fun with my friends or going driving, and I'd be like, hold on guys, I gotta post this thing on Instagram real quick. Talk to Hurt, he'll have the same complaints. After that, I mean, I was sort of this kid that was like a jack of all trades, do a little bit of everything. We decided we wanted to get into hot rods because at the time, we really cut our teeth with two things. And it was like rally with Ken Block and drifting on both grassroots level with like Hurt, Animal Style, and things like that, and then FD. But Brian wanted to get more into hot rodding. John Chase was into hot rodding, Brian's been into hot rodding. I grew up really loving muscle cars because of my dad. We were like, they did Power Tour the year before. Brian was like, we're gonna do Power Tour again. I was like, fuck, I'd love to go. I'd even buy a truck for it. I've always wanted a C10. So I picked up a 69 C10 long bed, patina, perfect, like the coolest truck ever to me. It was a big block, had a 468, a 3-speed, and rally wheels on it. I got it for $4,000, which is insane, especially by today's standard with C10. I bought it right in mid-city. Brian took me there. We drove it straight to his house, and then I drove it to work the next day, and like we started tearing into it. And I didn't have the money to build a thing at the time. We were doing some content, so Brian was like, hey, we could get some parts sponsored. You're gonna do yours, John's gonna do his, I'm gonna spruce up the Nova, and we're gonna do Ashley's F100. He said, you can go and get the partnerships. Here's what you can promise them. I did that, and I was quickly getting us parts coming in. That was awesome. This was like mind-blowing to me that you could even get sponsored parts. We were like, all right, well, now we've got the parts, how do we pay to go on this trip? So we didn't have no marketing budget. Brian was like, let me introduce you to some people who also go on Power Tour. We can do this, this, and this, make some content for them, tag them with some of our stuff. Here's how some of that works. Let's get after it. I did my first ever like brand deal. It was $10,000 for MagnaFlow, and I worked with Richard Wadis and Catherine Reinhardt. We traded out media for dollars to go on this trip. And that was the first deal I ever did. Crazy. Brian was like pretty stoked. He thought I handled myself really well. So he, you know, kind of made me like his backup guy. Brian's fucking brilliant, super smart dude, just really disorganized and doesn't like follow up with people. So I was kind of the dude that just came with him. I was like his sidekick, and I would do the follow-ups and all that stuff. And that was sort of where I got started. Scotto likes throwing people into the fire, for better or for worse. And for me, it was for the better. One day, he's like, yo, we're gonna go talk to Ford. Come with me. He's like, I'll already be out there, fly out. I came out to Ford, have no idea what to do. So I go out, Ken and Matt DeCillo are there, and Brian. I meet them downstairs in this hotel lobby. Me and Brian go back to our room together. We shared a room, because Hoonigan and HRD were separate, so there's different budgets. Hoonigan 2016, sharing a room together because we didn't have budget to split rooms like that. There's just what it was. So we went into Ford and pitched them on a project to do with Ken, and it was like absolutely insane. And I'm like looking back on it, because like Brian was older and more established, but like the grind mentality of like you're willing to like bring someone else out, have them sleep in your bedroom, and do that was just kind of crazy. I don't know. I just remember that vividly. I think I fell asleep like around midnight. Scotto stayed up, and then I woke up in the morning and he was already up doing stuff. My first taste of professional Scotto, I guess. Then from there, it was really like, how do you follow up on these things and close these deals? So Scotto pretty much took me under his wing. We worked as a team. It was like we followed up on creative, built decks, built creative to work on what the clients want. We started doing RFPs, and we were really grinding. And that was when I sort of started understanding the business more, and I was like, I can do this. And our focus was always, how do we get paid to do something that benefits the audience? It was never about us. It was always like, we want to do cool stuff for you guys, but we can't afford to do it. So how do we get other partners involved so that they could spend and we could benefit them while serving, right? That really worked really well for us for a long time. And I don't think people understood that a lot. I think that's because we were doing a good job. We would come up with concepts that were really authentic to Hoonigan, and you guys really enjoyed. We were integrating partners and getting them to help fund us create these things that are amazing. And some of that stuff is crazy. I mean, like, we came up with this concept for Carcane Abroad as a joke. And then I was able to go out and get companies like FCP Euro and Rotiform pre-acquisition to sponsor it. And that was like nuts. That was all part of this, like, we want to do fun stuff, and we want to be able to show our bosses that we can get paid to do this stuff that is fun and builds audience. And we were able to do that all over, everything from drifting to going to another country to buy stupid slow cars. It was really fun getting to do that. And throughout the years, it was like, we worked with everyone from every single brand in the automotive endemic aftermarket to some of the biggest brands in the world. Got to do things like build the Huna Pegasus with Mobil 1, and build the Indy truck with Pennzoil, and launch the 632 crate engine with Chevrolet Performance, custom build a body kit with the designers from Chevrolet. Like some of the craziest crap that I would have never imagined. And it was really cool to get to do that because I was growing professionally. I was really learning a ton of like experience I never thought I would have gotten to. We got to do some really fun stuff that I was really proud of. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing I think I learned at Hoonigan is just like how to make it work. In the pandemic, didn't know what the hell was gonna happen. We were all terrified that like Hoonigan would just go out of business. We were just terrified that like literally one day the doors would just be closed. We didn't know what to do. When we had to start working from home, we were like, how do we keep all of the guys that work in the shop employed, right? Because Hoonigan was owned by someone else. It wasn't just Brian and Ken. You can't just let these dudes stay at home when their jobs are build cars. So what did we do? We were like, all right, we're gonna do a couple different things to make money and keep these guys employed and keep all of us sane. We partnered with eBay to build a donk during the pandemic when you were allowed to go into work in small groups. We zoned the building as automotive so that you were an essential worker, so that people like Dan could go in and wrench on cars. And then actually before that, we did a thing called the Corn Stream, where we took our current partners and they sponsored live streams where we all just got on Twitch. But we did that because we were like, we don't want to abandon our audience, but we need to make something and we need to keep all the guys employed. That was just something that I wanted to talk about because it was one of those things where I realized that like Hoonigan will live forever because nothing could stop us. Like anything that got in our way, we were like, we'll find a solution. We have a killer team. We know how to make this work, and we always did. And I just thought that was really cool. And like, I loved that mentality of like the core team was so dedicated to making it work that like we would do anything, whether it was like stay at work until midnight in endless meetings, or you know, I don't know, it was a really special time for Hoonigan. So yeah, I could talk forever about crazy projects we've done or good times we've had. I mean, everything from like going to Baja to all the daily transmission episodes that we got to make with the whole crew. I mean, it's been an insane time, and it's been really hard to make the decision to leave. This has been a massive part of my life. Like it's so sad to think about it ending, and I think we all sort of saw it coming for us individually over the last couple years, but once you decide to actually move on, it's really sad. So that'll move into why I'm leaving. It's been a doozy of a decision to make. This has been such a big part of my life, and I've learned a lot. I've lived a better life than I probably ever thought I would have. I've done more things here than I could have ever imagined, and got to call them all work. It's truly insane, and I'm so fortunate to have built this life. You know, recognizing that it's no longer going the direction you want it to go is okay, and it's tough. So I've changed a lot, and I think what makes me happy has also changed a lot. And when the company got acquired, I thought, maybe I'm too old for this whole internet thing. Like, I'm 35 now, like I'm kind of boring. I'm no longer the crazy kid that was on Daily Transmission. Like, I'm sort of washed up in that aspect, but I was like, maybe I just don't belong on the internet anyways. Let me just do this corporate thing. I'll grow and help build the brand from the background, and that'll be satisfying. And I did the corporate thing for a bit, and it's not for me. I don't see myself being happy in a situation like that, and there's nothing against it. If you work a corporate job, if you work a desk job, if you shovel shit for a living, no judgment. Everyone does their own path. But it wasn't for me. I was really not happy being in an office. I don't really enjoy the whole aspect of the big business, lots of drama and politics and things, and it really curates an atmosphere of like people just not liking each other, and it was not really good for my mental health. Like, I was super depressed and started not liking all these people that I really loved previously, and that wasn't cool. So I'm not blaming Wheel Pros for it. I just think that like you take these things and you try to smash them into another thing that they weren't meant to be in, and it doesn't really work out, so it's fine. But yeah, it was just one of those kind of realizations that the content plan for Hoonigan has sort of shifted. We don't get to do that same stuff we did. The corporate life just wasn't for me. I mean, I'm sure there could be a lot of upside to it, a lot of promise, but when I step back and think about like what I want in life, it's like, I need to make money. I want to be rich, but most importantly, I want to be happy every day. I don't think the middle one matters at all. And I know I can do the first and the third easily, and I think the second one will happen. It's really important to me that like every day is great, and I wasn't living it. And for that reason alone, it's just like, it's enough. It's scary to go out there and try to do something else and have no guarantee of a paycheck and no guarantee that any of you guys will give a shit about me or follow along or support whatever I do next. But I mean, I gotta try, because if you don't try, you're just gonna always sit there and regret it. Worst case scenario, I think I could get another desk job. I'm pretty qualified to do stuff. I'm just gonna give it a shot. I gotta go try to do my own thing, try to be happy, try to make my own next era of life dreams come true. I hope you guys all stick around to support, and I'll talk about a little bit more about that now. But before I get into what I'm doing next, I want to make one thing clear. This isn't like a anti-Hoonigan or anti-Wheel Pros anything. A lot of people didn't realize is like Hoonigan's always been owned by people other than Ken and Brian. We had other investors. We've always had to answer to someone. People always dictated what we had to do as a brand, and it was always about making money. We had to serve our bosses. You know, this is nothing new. It's just different. We all knew all these changes were gonna happen. We all were signed up for it. Brian and Ken made educated decisions that like, this is the right way to go. None of us are mad or angry. It's changed. We've done a lot of cool stuff, and I think Wheel Pros, now Hoonigan, will continue to evolve and be great. Just like us, the people at Wheel Pros who started the company and the people who are in charge, at least most of them, are diehard car enthusiasts. I mean, Randy got into Wheel Pros because he was into cars. Brian Henderson has some of the coolest cars I've ever seen. I used to joke that he was like what I did on flipping cars, but like 10 levels up. But he's like a diehard car guy. And there's a lot of people up there who really care about automotive and this industry. It's not just a bunch of corporate suits that don't give a shit. There's no slander. Hoonigan, as you know it, may change. It may never come back. There's never gonna be daily transmission again. But I think Hoonigan will go on to evolve a lot. They're now a almost $2 billion a year company, and they're not gonna disappear. It's not gonna be the brand that you signed up for, that I signed up for, but I think that that's okay, and it had to evolve, and I'm excited to see what they do with it. So I just wanted to make it clear that like, I have no hard feelings against Hoonigan, against Wheel Pros. I'm still gonna show up, still gonna be in some of their content, definitely still gonna see all the guys. I'm sure I'll be on some of this first ad episodes and help transition out over like a really long course of time. We're doing some partnerships and stuff. So there's nothing hard there. The only hard feelings here are my own feelings about what the hell I have to do in my life and what I gotta do to make myself happy. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it does to me, and I guess that's really all that matters. Here's what I'm gonna do. This is an embarrassing part for me because I wish I were better prepared. I have a lot of things going on now. Nothing that is super ironed out or ready to be debuted. I was super focused on Hoonigan and have been for the last almost decade. And the reason why I've been so successful here is that this is my life. I dedicated everything to it. And like, sure, I did some social media stuff for myself and bought and sold cars, but like my professional life was dedicated to Hoonigan. I didn't build up anything on the side to launch for when I left. Stupid, should've. Now I am going to, for the first time in a decade, not have a paycheck, which is terrifying. That's not gonna stop me from doing what I haven't done in a very long time, which is I'm actually just gonna take a vacation. I haven't taken more than like an extended weekend in my entire time that I've worked at Hoonigan. So we're gonna go to Japan and just go fuck off for a little bit, enjoy some car culture there, enjoy just some life, try to clear my head and just think about kind of what's coming next. A little bit on that is I have a lot of stuff. I'm gonna double down on all my social media content. I love making content now. It's one of these weird things where like I hated being on camera. I always thought it was kind of stupid, but it's really fun to make content with the cars that I have, doing the stuff that I like to do with people that I like to do, and I want to continue to do that. So I guess you would say double down, but hopefully more. I'm gonna really focus on creating content for myself. I don't know if I'm gonna do like a YouTube vlog. I think there's enough of that there. My life on day to day isn't that interesting, so I don't want to try to do like a daily vlog. A lot of good daily vloggers out there in automotive. I don't need to compete, but I am gonna start 2 brands. They're not launching yet. One of them is going to be a brand that's near and dear to my heart. It's called the Driver's Era. I started as a car dealership, but quickly realized it's not what I want to do. I have plans for it. I haven't had time to focus on it. If you want to follow their social handles, do it. We're going to launch something big later on in 2024. I know it's going to be really cool, and I think you guys will enjoy it. I wanted to make this video while people were interested in kind of all the changes that were happening and wanted to address it. And if I had done marketing correctly, I would have built all these things up in the background, and I would have made this video and then launched those things to drive you over to there to do it. But I didn't. What an idiot, right? The second thing I'm doing is there will be an actual YouTube channel that I'm starting with some friends from another company, but that won't be until mid next year as well. So like I said, I wish I had somewhere to send you guys. I wish I had some way to keep you guys all involved. So what I'll say is sub to this YouTube channel. I'll make some stuff. Go follow me on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts, all that stuff. I'm gonna start making a ton of content, and then when I'm ready to launch my next thing, I hope you guys follow along and enjoy it. But for now, this is it. If you have any questions, hit me in the comments. I'll try my best to stay on top of it and answer it. Looking forward to next year of just like driving my cars more. I'm really stoked. I got my E36 done. Really happy to make that from a Gymkhana grid car into a time attack car really easy. Got the drift car going, so I want to hit a bunch of drift events. Might be doing some racing professionally with some other people. So I mean, there should be a lot, and I hope to hit a bunch of events and see a lot of you guys out there and just kind of get back to enjoying life, and the money will come. We'll figure it out. And that's it. So yeah, if you got any questions, hit me up. Otherwise, this is the end of an era for me at Hoonigan. Thanks to everyone who supported over the years. And like I said earlier, I think it's fucking ridiculous that I even made this video. I can't believe anyone out there even cares enough about any of this. And I mean that like in a very sincere way of like, I don't know how to actually feel important to other people, but it's really awesome. And thanks to everyone who's, you know, supported the channel, the brand, myself over all these years. It's been really awesome, and your support means everything. So thanks for that. And I'm gonna stop talking. Or get up.